Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, Peachtree Corners Live podcast. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while, but this is the Prime Lunchtime with City Manager Brian Johnson. Hey, Brian.
Rico.
Hey, good to see you. Different background. Love it. Some people are getting back to work. City's opening up a little bit. We got a lot to talk about. So in this 30 minutes, we're going to be talking a bit about the pedestrian bridge coming online, the class of 2020 video that the city inspired, or that is being done to celebrate the high school class of 2020 here in the City of Peachtree Corners, plus a bunch of other things dealing with the 2021 budget, the trails, town center, lots of stuff to go, packed in 30 minutes. Stay with us. I just want to talk about our leading sponsor that makes all this possible, Peachtree Corners Magazine, the podcasts, and that is Hargrave Fiber. I want to thank them for being a sponsor of these podcasts. They are a company located in the South here in Georgia, and every community they go into, they are part of that community, being a significant portion of what goes on there. They do innovative solutions for small businesses as well as large businesses, provide enterprise solutions for companies, and they, especially for companies that are working remotely, they actually provide free tools to be able to work remotely and collaborate online. So check them out, hargravefiber.com/business or hargravefiber.com, and I'll get you to where you're going. Now, back to Brian. Brian, thanks for being with us here.
Absolutely.
So how has your COVID-19, since the last time we spoke, how has things been going with you and the city, your family, and everyone?
Well, family is no different than yours and others out there. We're, getting along. People in different phases of life have different unique things happening at home.
Right.
Mine, I've got, elementary and middle schoolers. And so there was that homeschooling component that mommy and daddy were, having to supervise, and that was unique, but that's done. It's summertime now.
Right.
And, now it's really trying to transition like a lot of parents are with trying to find things for their kids to do over the summer when there's a shortage of, camps. There's not as many camps that are going on. And so there are going to be weeks in which there's not anything to do. And, I know parents are struggling with, how to keep the kids out of the house, off of technology, out doing some things. So we're no different than anybody else. We're getting through it. City, we think, is doing well. We're, with the exception of like the theaters, which are still not authorized to be open.
Right.
And, so Cinebistro is not, and things like that. Pretty much all the businesses that made it through that shelter in place part are open to some degree, but it's taken a toll.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday morning, nationally declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy yesterday.
Saw that. Yep.
And the initial list of stores that they're looking to close, and it could change, but initially it looks like the one in Peachtree Corners could be one that closes.
Wow.
So, we as a city are already getting our team looking at maybe if that is going to be the case to backfill it with something. So we're already reaching out to types of businesses that we think are a good fit for that location, that store footprint, all that kind of stuff. But overall, I think, we're coming out relatively unscathed, at least right now, compared to a lot of other cities.
True. The more I've been out there driving around and actually shopping, even at like Ingles, and even though I've been doing a lot of online shopping, Instacart is really good, especially when you get the little free delivery coupon.
Right.
But businesses are doing things. There's a lot of businesses that are creating new ways of doing certain things. You got Noble Finn giving away, 100 pounds of rosemary dough to make your own focaccias or pizzas. You got other companies like Taqueria Del Mar, I think, was doing, pay as you go. Pay what you can. So there's a lot of creativity going on. Even in the summer camp, world, we put out a call to see what summer camps are going to be opening. So there will be a list in Peachtree Corners magazine about that, about summer camps that are opening with certain restrictions, and some of them that are doing like these virtual summer camps, like coding camps and stuff like that. But yeah, it is challenging and changing.
It's going to be a different summer, in Peachtree Corners, because, like, for instance, if you have kids that are at the swimming, age, there's not going to be, swim season is not happening this summer.
No, but
all the camps, the typical camps are not happening this summer.
Right.
Pools are opening a little bit late. I know Fields Club not opening until June 1. So, there was that Memorial Day weekend is usually the weekend where most of these pools open. And, and even the city, we made a decision out of an abundance of caution to not have any events before July 4th, really until the July 10th weekend.
July 10th weekend.
Right. So July 4th, there will not be any city organized events.
Mm-hmm.
We canceled all of the ones that were scheduled prior to that. But July 10th is when we're looking at reactivating the town green with organized city-sponsored events. I actually think the very first event is going to be, July 10th is a Friday. That Friday night is going to be, as it stands now, the introduction of our night farmers market, our night market.
Oh, okay.
And so, we feel like that's an event that we can kind of start easing in and making sure that it's not, an unmanageable amount of people per se.
Right.
At that point, we'll take a look at things, and we're looking to still have some, things like concerts and stuff out at the town green this summer.
Yeah, and it's big enough actually to, even if you sort of spread people out a little bit, it's probably big enough to be able to do that. And I know, for example, the Peachtree Corners Festival has been postponed too. That's going to go to the fall, like we discussed earlier.
Light Up the Corners has been pushed back to August 15th, I believe is
August.
the date. Yeah, looking at right now, yeah.
And that's not even finalized yet. They have plenty of time to wait and then finalize. The same way we have a list of Peachtree Corners events on Town Center that we're going to print in the magazine, but with the caveat that, you have to check with the city to make sure this is actually going to happen. Because things are changing. We don't know what's going to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
And, but it'd be good to have that. So we will have some of that info in the upcoming issue. That'll be the beginning of June. That'll be mailed. There's the bridge that span is actually going up. You said this weekend, right?
No, actually, it's next weekend.
Next weekend.
So June 5th, 6th, and 7th. So we're going to close 141 underneath the bridge sometime the evening of June 5th, like 10 p.m. type of thing.
Okay.
Where there's no rush hour traffic, there's no, that kind of stuff. We're going to close it that evening, that night, and keep it closed until like Sunday morning at like 3 a.m. I think it's going to be reopened.
Okay.
The reason, and so then the detour would be Peachtree Corner Circle to Medlock back to 141. So it's a short detour there.
Okay, I see that.
And the traffic, or the roundabout that we put in there, to use to get up. But
that's phase one, right? Phase one. That's phase one at this point.
That's correct.
And then phase two is June 12th.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct. And so the reason, and June 12th will only be one day, I believe.
Okay.
But the reason that we have to do that is because the next weekend, they've got to set the span in. It's 3 sections, 2 sections that attach to the 2 towers, and then a middle section. And when you put the sections of steel together, I want to say it's 72 massive bolts attach the 2 steel sections together. And then they got to pour the concrete in the span once it's in.
Okay.
So that's why Next weekend, it's the full weekend. And then after that, the span will be in, the concrete will have been poured and everything, but then they've got to go up and we've got to set the rails on the sides, and they're actual panels.
Okay.
So you can't have a Georgia DOT requires a fence of at least 8 feet that doesn't allow you to throw objects off that essentially are bigger than the gap in a chain link fence.
Right, right.
Well, we didn't want to put a chain link fence because that wouldn't look good. So what we did is we did some research, and we kind of used the philosophy behind the screen, like you would see on a screen door.
Mm-hmm.
If you get up close to it, you can see all the little squares in it.
Right.
But then when you get farther back, you can actually see through it. You know, it's not quite as clear if it wasn't there, but you can see through it.
Right, right.
So what we did is, instead of putting chain link or a solid panel, we took it's some sort of a fabricated, like thin aluminum sheet. You know, that's solid, and then we cut lots of holes in it.
Okay.
So up walking the span, the holes are all really close together. You can see out.
Right.
But what it does when you're driving on the road and looking from afar is it actually makes the holes make a pattern that shows the leaf from the tree on our logo.
That's cool.
So that's what's got to be placed in the span the second weekend, and you have to hang it from the outside, so they don't want any cars underneath when they're doing it.
Right. And it's going to say Peachtree Corners on it.
And then there will be letters, channel letters in the middle that'll say Peachtree Corners on each side.
All right, cool. So that's happening soon. That's happening, June 4th, starting off. So we're going to see the surprise. I saw some of this. I saw the spans actually sitting on
Yeah,
the
they're
side
sitting on the side of the road right now.
Yeah, massive. Since we're talking about town center, is the work continuing on the? Do you know on the Uncle Jack's?
Yes,
that's continuing on there, right?
Uncle Jack's is going until they're done.
Okay.
I want to say I've heard that because there's a lot of interior stuff with commercial grade hoods and everything.
Right.
That August is when they're looking to be done.
That sounds almost right, because originally I think it was like end of June, beginning of July, but with all this COVID-19 and everything going on, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's close. The exterior, with the exception of doors and windows and everything, is starting to get close to where you're like, okay, that's most of what you're going to see, but that's still going on. And then we made a bunch of improvements and used this period of time as an opportunity to make some upgrades ourselves without interfering with things. So for instance, the stage at the town green,
right,
we had heard from the residents that attend events that it wasn't high enough. And so after the first concert, we started having to rent a stage so that we could elevate it. So what we did is we went ahead and we built a permanent elevated stage out of some really nice stained wood. And so now we won't have to rent anything, and it's permanently elevated from right over top of the poured concrete one that was part of the original. And then actually we made it a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay.
So whoever's performing can be a little bit outside of the covering if they want.
Okay.
And so it looks great if you haven't seen it. We also stained all of the deck underneath the, covered areas by the restaurants.
Uh-huh.
We have a second playground structure that has just been installed and is out there. And then
cool.
The trail that we initially cut just solely for the purposes of people walking from the town green through the woods towards Da Vinci Court and Peachtree Corner Circle where they were parking.
Yeah.
That trail got used a lot by a lot of people who use town green to exercise. So we went and put a bunch of exercise stations in that stretch of trail for people who were doing it. So if you want to do pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, dip bars. We've got monkey
Right.
bars to practice things. We got a climbing wall for you to have to run up and get over it. In other words, it's got a lot of obstacle course type of stuff.
Neat.
People who want to use it to either get in shape or maybe to practice some of the things that you see in some of those races like Spartan Race and Tough
Yeah.
Mudder and things like that. So if you haven't been out there, and especially if you like to exercise, I would challenge you to go out there and look at some of those. It's a pretty cool little area now. And, we'll keep going. We'll keep improving it as people tell us some things that we can do to improve. Oh, and the last thing is we have new lights out there.
Okay.
So, at night, the sidewalk that rings the town green has overhead lighting over it.
Yeah.
When we do the night market,
Right.
farmers market at night, it'll be lit inside the town green much brighter than it was last year.
Oh, okay. Cool. A lot of stuff going on at Town Center. That's and more businesses opening. I saw Hoot Wings be open soon if it's not already.
Yeah, it's not quite, but it's like within the next couple weeks.
Right. So there's things going on there. Across the way, even though Tuesday morning may close, Little Market open.
Yep, Lidl has
Lidl.
filled the former Earth Fair space. So Lidl is in, it's open.
Yep.
And so I, encourage somebody to go out. It's a boutique grocery store. It's unique. So it's not, so I don't want somebody to think like, oh, well, it's the same as all of them. No, it has its own unique type of thing. And so, grocery store shopping is a very personal thing, as we all know. So I leave it up to the individuals, but we're excited that the space got filled.
Yeah, it's there's a lot more even office spaces that are being filled. I've noticed I've been getting more releases about commercial space that are filling in. Like there was Summit Parkway. Some businesses went in there. There's a bunch of places that are actually beginning to fill in a little bit. So it's good to see that. Businesses are coming back. Lentitech Park is reopened. So we're seeing more of that going on.
Yep.
We are seeing, I don't want to miss like the e-scooter sort of soft opening of that launch where people can go now at Technology Park, pick up an e-scooter if you have an app and ride around within Technology Park. Maybe go to Andeby's, maybe go visit a business, maybe go up to the hotel area and then leave it there and it drives back, right?
Yep, that's correct. And not just drives back, it can drive to the docking station where it can get disinfected too.
Disinfected, right. I saw that.
And so, it's just, I'm glad you brought that up. It's just, again, another example of what Curiosity Lab is doing. This was the world's first unveiling and offering to the public of a teleoperated e-scooter.
Yeah.
And so, little old Peachtree Corners was able to get the first teleoperated e-scooter deployment, 100 scooters that can be moved around, including being summoned like an Uber from teleoperators that are in Mexico City, Mexico.
Right. Now, this is free of charge, or is there a charge on that?
Now, you have to download an app. It's just like Lime and, all the other scooters. However, for first-time users, I want to say they give you a $10 initial credit.
Okay.
To get on there, and then afterwards, it's like if you're doing it by time versus by, I think you can do it half a day, a full day unlimited, or by a minute. I think it's 25 cents a minute after you go through the initial. So again, I just challenge somebody to do it, even if it's just for, just curiosity's sake, just to come out here and get on it and try it out, look at the technology. This may be how e-scooters are redeployed, in other cities around the world in the near future.
Yeah, things are changing. It's amazing. Ali is not running anymore.
Not right now. At
this point.
Yeah, they've got a 2.0 that they're considering bringing back, but their initial version, they got all the testing that they needed to do here, and so they went and had it go back, but they have come up with a version 2.0, and there's talk about bringing it out here and seeing how it works in the real world also.
All right, cool. The other part of what you guys are doing, what the city's doing, is because COVID-19 had lots of people off the road. Everyone knows gas pricing is down to $1.69 a gallon, depending where you go. People are not driving around as much, although it is beginning to pick up now. Where it was 30 minutes to go downtown or midtown, now it's taking like 40, 45 minutes. So traffic is starting to build.
Get back to
getting back to normal. Now, we would talk about new normal. I was hoping it wouldn't be as normal.
Right.
But but you guys have been able to take advantage of being able to move up the schedule on some things like street resurfacing.
So our budget is set to get approved at our June meeting because our fiscal year starts July 1.
Right.
And a couple of highlights might be, one, our overall general fund, just out of an abundance of caution, we went ahead and cut almost 12% of our budget because there were some revenue streams that we just were not confident would come in because we don't know enough. We don't know what it's going to do. This, coronavirus, this pandemic's going to do over the course of the next 12 months. So we cut our revenue estimates down 12%.
Because the city operates on think of it as a cash flow, right? I mean, you can't go in debt necessarily.
Right. Cities, counties, and the state have to operate on a balanced budget, annual balanced budget.
Right.
So we cut our revenue projections by 12%, which means our expenditures have to meet or fall below the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut our budget already. Our hope is it doesn't, it doesn't come in any worse. And so we've already prepared for it. But there's also some aspects of our budget we took advantage of. You just mentioned gas prices. Well, asphalt is a petroleum-based product.
Right.
It is not only that, but then there are some paving companies that are hungrier right now than maybe they normally would be. Mm-hmm. Even though in Metro Atlanta, a lot of the paving companies are tied up in the Georgia 400 285 interchange. There's just a massive amount of concrete, asphalt going in there. But we are taking advantage of some pricing. So we increased our annual allocation to resurfacing from 1.5 to 2 million. And it's currently out to bid for us to do that. So we're going to be resurfacing a few more streets than we normally would. And of course, the way we do it is we have a condition assessment done on all of the streets in the city. Mm-hmm. And we bid it out by listing usually 10 sections of streets that are the 10 worst sections that need it. And then we have a company, the winning bidder just starts paving until they run out of the money that we allocated and they work down the list. So sometimes, depending on pricing, you could be, number 8 on the list and you get done. Sometimes other years, the cost is such that it doesn't get to say number 8 or number 6 or whatever. So we'll see. But anyway, those are, some of the highlights. The only other one of significant note would be we also were able to move up the trail system, add a section of trail system, our 11-mile interconnected trail system. Mm-hmm. We are moving up the section that connects to the pedestrian bridge on the town center side.
Right.
And we're going to put all of the trails that are down along or down in the creek that's between the old Black Walnut restaurant and
the swath of trees over there, that area.
Trees. And so we're going to do that starting late this summer. So we're going to, as soon as that pedestrian bridge is open, they're going to immediately be constructing and connecting additional trails so you can walk down along it and down in it.
That's cool. So, obviously the city has been able to take advantage of certain things, but other things you had to reinvent, sort of. Cisco WebEx. Are you guys using Cisco WebEx for your conference?
Yep.
So I missed the last city council meeting this past Tuesday. You guys finished earlier than I thought. I was trying to log on, but so citizens are going to be able or have been able to actually watch city council sessions.
Yep.
Being able to see the documentation being put up, I think, or being able to download them, and also to be able to put out questions, even though it may be ahead of the meeting.
No, we actually were able to do it to where you could either submit a question in writing right there by tapping in kind of the chat section.
Right.
Would read it out loud so that everybody knew what it was, and then I or somebody would verbally answer it. Or we offered those who had logged in, they could just say yes, they want to make a comment, and we could then bring their camera and microphone up.
Oh, cool.
And actually virtually address council. And so, yes, we were able to do that. I mean, it looks easy. It does take a lot of moving parts to get it done. But yes, we've had to learn how to do just like everybody else things like we're doing right now virtually because we can't do it in person right now.
Well, and the good part is I think it democratizes it better, right? Government that maybe I can't leave my place. Maybe I'm wheelchair bound, or maybe I just can't leave to be able to make that meeting and sit there for 3 hours. And it gives me the opportunity to watch it. Well, maybe I'm doing some work or streaming something. We'll be able to make comments. Like you said, public commentary is actually open to more people probably than it might otherwise not have been. Do you think, now lots of cities have been sort of getting there slowly. I know from a reporter I was speaking to recently that Sandy Springs was holding back, did not want to do it, but finally had to do it because of COVID-19, and they will probably continue doing it. Do you see the City of Peachtree Corners doing that? Like, even after we get past this bit of stuff that we're going on, do you still think that it will be live streamed, even if you hold the meetings in the chamber?
Well, potentially. I mean, the chamber is a different setup. I mean, so now when it comes to, being able to interact and post things remotely, it's a much bigger room. I mean, so remember when we did this, council wasn't even at City Hall.
Right.
So
right. That's right.
Two of us that were in the main conference room here, where we do our work sessions, but it's a smaller room, and there were, and council wasn't there. And so we are looking at it, but it's not current. It's not set up right this second to be able to provide all of the stuff that we did when we have been having these meetings remotely, just because council will be physically at the building and will need to be in a much bigger room.
Okay.
And got people sitting. Even then, you're going to potentially have seats blocked off in such a way that you're, spaced different. And so people will be spaced out even more. And, so it's the logistics behind it are harder, but we are certainly looking to see if we can, continue some aspect of this in some
way. I don't see that it could be as integrated as if doing a Zoom meeting, which is what Cisco WebEx is like, right? But certainly streaming live, even if the people can't see the documentation, I mean, they could always download from a link. I mean, you can't be perfect.
Yeah, no, that's true. Now, again, the difference is streaming live versus taping it and making it available.
Right.
The only thing you gain if it's streamed live is the ability to maybe make a comment in real time on something that's going on. What you lose is the ability to watch it at your convenience. And so that's why oftentimes taping it, and then if you can turn it around quickly, like 24 hours later, it's up, then for days or weeks, somebody can watch the meeting at their convenience versus having to reserve a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Oh, I can't do something because council meeting's coming on and it's streamed live. That's the only thing,
Yeah, I mean, I get that. There's pros and cons. It's funny the way and it is it's a chamber. It's a whole different ball game. There's different variables you have to deal with. I know that when we do our podcast and with Facebook live streaming, it's live streamed and then it stays on Facebook the way that we do it, the way that I do it with all the graphics on it. I mean, I could become more interactive with the graphics, and actually we could,
That's true.
you know, we could have shown video, we could have shown pictures of town center. You know, if I had planned it out and had the budget to do that, like a big TV place, I could be able to show those slides and stuff. But you know, in time, things will happen, I guess.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't want people to forget also that, especially businesses, every business knows this. I guess July 1st is now the due date for business license fees, which was postponed from April or March, I think. March. So it's been a while. So that's part of your cash flow, and that's going to be coming back at some point. After, you know, by July 1st, I'll be coming back again.
And we're still, I don't want to sit here and say that we're on a case-by-case basis. There may still be some exceptions if somebody can lay out a case, make a case for themselves.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, in general, that's when everybody's is due, but there could be extenuating circumstances where on a case-by-case basis, we change from that too.
Sure. And before we end, I just wanted to say that the city has gotten behind this whole big thing, class of 2020. It's a sad thing, obviously, to have kids that were supposed to graduate, have holiday parties, have graduation parties. None of that is happening, or at least not virtually. I mean, not in real life. I mean, not in real. So it's happening virtually. People are doing Zoom parties and in the graduation parade by using, you know, cars as a parade and stuff, which is kind of neat, a little different. Certainly not the same way that everyone else has been doing it prior to this. But the city's helping producing a video. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So, you know, like you just said, we have all of these Peachtree Corners residents going to a lot of different schools around here.
Mm-hmm.
We oftentimes think of, you know, the ones that come to mind immediately, like Norcross High and Wesleyan and, you know, some Duluth High and, you know, GAC and, you know, St. Pius. I mean, schools that are kind of within reach. But we got a lot of seniors, high school seniors that live in Peachtree Corners that, like you said, aren't going to have the proverbial graduation. So a longtime resident of Peachtree Corners named Nancy Miner thought, you know what, maybe there's something we could do to make our seniors in Peachtree Corners feel special. So she reached out to Mayor Mason and said, hey, do you think that there's some kind of a video thing that the city could do? And, you know, really didn't necessarily know what it would be, but just said, you know, is there? So the mayor, you know, reached out to me and said, hey, do you think we could do something special? And, you know, we talked to the rest of council. They were hugely supportive of it. So I reached out to Titan Pictures.
Right.
And he does some of the content for us. Jim Stone said, sure, we can do it. And, you know, let's try to create a video that we at least give every graduating senior that wants an opportunity to show their picture and a little bit of, you know, pertinent information about them.
Right.
And maybe we make it a little bit more interesting than just doing that by having some video, some photo, some aerials of the city and some other special interest stories. And so we sent out, we contacted all the schools that have Peachtree Corners residents going there. And again, some of these schools are out there. I can't even imagine the commute some of these students had to do to get there. But
yeah,
and said, hey, send us, you know, reach out to the parents that live in Peachtree Corners, tell them we're doing this, and then they would get on our website and they could download a one-page form with just some biographical information, send us a picture. And then, you know, Judy Putnam, my communications director, then kind of helped Jim organize it. They put it together, and Jim put a really good, I mean, Titan Pictures did a really good job of putting this together. We're going to go live with it at 3:00 this afternoon, which is, you know, Thursday.
Right.
And we'll also have it playing on the big screen on the town green over the weekend.
That's cool.
20 minutes long. So if you don't have a senior, that's a little bit, but it is interesting though to watch because it is interspersed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great scenery of Peachtree Corners and some pretty cool special interest stories of some of these students that are doing some pretty cool stuff. So I would encourage some people to at least watch it for a little while or watch part of it because it's pretty cool. And then Rico, you've been part of it too and are going to do your part through your magazine to recognize them too. So between our video, your magazine, I think we've done what we can to try to make these seniors feel special. Not all of the seniors participated. We didn't get every senior to do this.
But there was over 140 that responded. So
yes, we're pleased. So we always appreciate residents, both at like Nancy Miner come up with ideas like this, and people like you who support it. And then we got a lot of good people around to help us. And of course, mayor and council being supportive of this kind of stuff is what happened. So I'm proud to say we did it. And hopefully the seniors feel a little bit more special than they would without them.
Yeah, that was a great video. I saw a first draft of it, and I just got the link of the one that's coming up at 3. Just Jim Titan Pictures, they did a great job on it. It's just a super job. I think people enjoy it. A lot of individual interviews also with some of the kids. So he pulled it together really well. Loved the music. He did the voiceover too, I believe, on it.
Did.
Which was super. He has a great voice for that. I kept thinking Disney movie or something for some reason, like Disneyland or Disney World, like a feature like that. But he did a good job. So I'm looking forward to seeing the final version. We're at the end of our time. I think we covered quite a bit.
I do too.
Right, you're always very good about giving good information and putting out stuff that the city, residents need to know. So I appreciate you doing that, spending that time with me once a month to be able to do this. So anyone that wants to find out more, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Peachtree Corners Life. Pick up the magazine. You should be getting it in the mailbox the first or second week, first 8 days in June. Every household in the city gets it. So you should be having about 19,000 homes. And follow us on Facebook. You get these live feeds. Share this with your friends. If you're listening to the podcast, just review it on Apple Podcasts. We've had a bit of reviews there. So good stuff. It helps us bring us up in the search. And again, Prime Lunchtime with City Manager is always good, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Rico. Thanks for giving us a venue to get information out to our citizens.
Sure. Stay with me. The rest of you guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy.